The Day He Left. Chapter 1. The Sound of Boxes. She was 10 years old when she learned the sound of cardboard. Not the ripping sound, not the folding, the carrying sound. The dull scrape of a box dragged across the floor. The hollow thump when it was set down. The pause afterward, like the house was waiting to see what would happen next. She sat halfway up the stairs, barefoot, her knees pulled to her chest. From there she could see the front door, the hallway, and the edge of the living room where her father moved in and out of view. He didn't look angry. That confused her. He didn't look sad either. That hurt more. He moved carefully, almost politely, as if he were a guest packing up after a visit that had gone on too long. Her mother stood in the kitchen, wiping the counter again and again. The same clean spot, over and over. Her back was straight. Too straight. No one had told her what was happening. Adults always thought children understood less than they did. What they never realized was that children understood everything, just without the words. She knew this was permanent before anyone said it out loud. Chapter 2. The Talk on the Stairs. At some point, her father noticed her sitting there. He stopped walking. For a second, she thought he might say something important, something that would explain why the house suddenly felt wrong, like furniture had been moved inside her chest. Instead, he knelt down in front of her. He smelled like his aftershave and dust, a familiar smell that would later disappear from her life without warning, the way certain songs do. "Hey, sweetheart," he said softly. She nodded. She always nodded. Nodding was safe. "This isn't your fault," he said. She nodded again. She didn't ask what was her fault. She didn't ask why he was leaving. She didn't ask where he was going. She had learned early that questions made adults uncomfortable. He hugged her. Not the long kind. Not the kind where you melt into someone. It was quick, controlled. Like he was afraid that if he stayed too long, something inside him might crack. When he pulled away, she looked at his face, searching for something. Guilt, doubt, hesitation. She didn't find it. That was the moment something inside her closed quietly. Chapter 3. After the door. The door closed without drama, no slam, no echo. Just the soft, final click of a latch doing its job. For a long moment, no one moved. Then her mother let out a breath that sounded like she'd been holding it for years. That was when the girl understood something else. Adults didn't always leave because they didn't love you. Sometimes they left because staying required a kind of courage they didn't have. She didn't have the words for that yet, only the feeling. Chapter 4. The House That Got Louder. After he left, the house didn't get quieter. It got louder. Not with sound, with space. Every room felt bigger, stretched in the wrong places. The hallway seemed longer. The living room echoed even when no one spoke. The air itself felt different, like it had thinned out. Her mother sat at the kitchen table that evening, staring at a cup of tea she didn't drink. The girl stood in the doorway, watching steam rise and disappear. "Is he coming back?" she asked. The question came out smaller than she expected. Her mother looked up slowly. Her eyes were red, but dry, like she had already cried everything she was allowed to. "I don't know," she said. That answer settled deep. Not yes, not no. Just a floating uncertainty that would follow the girl for years. That night she lay in bed listening to the house. Pipes knocking, the refrigerator humming, the wind outside brushing against the windows. Every sound felt like a mistake her father had forgotten to fix before leaving. She pulled the blanket over her head and waited for sleep. It didn't come. Chapter 5. Learning to be easy. Children are very good at learning rules that are never spoken. She learned that mornings were harder now. Her mother moved slower, spoke less. Sometimes she forgot things. Lunches, permission slips, small promises. So the girl learned to remind her. Gently. She learned to tie her own shoes faster, to pour her own cereal, to say it's okay before anyone apologized. Teachers called her responsible. Neighbors called her mature. No one called her scared. At night, she practiced being invisible. She did homework quietly, watched TV with the volume low, learned which floorboards creaked and which ones didn't. Somewhere inside her, a belief formed. If I don't cause trouble, people won't leave. It wasn't a thought. It was a survival skill. Chapter 6. School Pictures and Father's Day. Father's Day came in late spring. The classroom filled with construction paper and glue sticks. Other kids talked excitedly about ties and mugs and breakfast plans. She stared at the blank paper in front of her. Her teacher knelt beside her desk. "Do you want to make a card for your dad?" She nodded. Again, nodding was safe. She drew a house, a tree, a stick figure family. At the last moment, she hesitated. Then she erased one figure. She didn't know why she did it. She only knew that pretending hurt more than erasing. That afternoon, she folded the card and put it in her backpack. It stayed there until the end of the year, bent and forgotten. At home, she didn't mention Father's Day. Neither did her mother. Some absences become traditions. Chapter 7. The Promise She Made Silently. Years passed. She grew taller, quieter, stronger in ways no one applauded. Her father called sometimes, birthdays, holidays, always polite, always brief. "Love you, kiddo," he'd say. She said it back. She always said it back. But after each call, she sat on her bed and stared at the wall, trying to figure out how love could sound so distant. One night, when she was 13, she made herself a promise. She didn't write it down. She didn't say it out loud. She just decided, "I will never leave like that. I will never make someone wonder what they did wrong. I will stay." She didn't know yet how heavy that promise would become. Chapter 8. What stayed by the time she was grown, most people thought she was fine. She had learned how to smile at the right moments, how to listen, how to be the steady one. But certain things still hurt more than they should. Goodbyes. Silence. Closed doors. She stayed in relationships longer than she should have. Took responsibility that wasn't hers. Apologized first, even when she hadn't done anything wrong. Because leaving still felt like failure, and being left still felt personal. Chapter 9. The thing she finally understood. It wasn't until much later, much older, that she understood the truth no one had told her at 10. Her father didn't leave because she wasn't enough. He left because staying required him to face parts of himself he wasn't ready to see. That knowledge didn't erase the pain, but it moved it. From her chest, back to where it belonged. Chapter 10. The Call She Didn't Expect. She was 32 when his name lit up her phone. Not a birthday, not a holiday, just an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. For a moment she let it ring. Old reflex. Then she answered. "Hey," he said. His voice was older now, thinner, like it had been worn down by time and distance. "Hey," she replied. There was a pause. Not awkward, careful. "I'm in town," he said. "Just for a couple of days. I was wondering if you'd want to get coffee." Her first instinct was to say she was busy, to protect the rhythm of her life. the balance she'd worked so hard to build. Instead, she surprised herself. "Okay," she said. They chose a place halfway between their worlds, a small cafe near the park, neutral territory, somewhere without history. When she hung up, her hands were shaking. She told herself it was just nerves, but deep down, she knew it was something older waking up. Chapter 11, Waiting as an Adult. She arrived early. That surprised her too. She sat by the window watching people pass. Parents with strollers, couples arguing quietly, a man teaching his daughter how to ride a bike. She wondered if her father had ever imagined moments like that for them. When he walked in, she didn't recognize him at first. He looked smaller. His hair was mostly gray now. His shoulders sloped forward slightly, like gravity had finally caught up. Then he smiled. The same smile. Her chest tightened. They hugged, awkwardly at first, then a little longer than planned. She noticed how fragile he felt, how human. They sat. Coffee arrived. Neither of them touched it. Chapter 12. The Things He Couldn't Say. Then, "I want to start by saying I'm sorry," he said. The words landed gently, not dramatically, not defensively. "I know that doesn't fix anything," he added, "but I need you to know I've thought about it every day." She looked at him. Really looked. He wasn't asking to be forgiven. He wasn't asking to be understood. He was just telling the truth. "I didn't leave because of you," he said quietly. "I left because I didn't know how to stay without destroying myself. And I didn't know how to explain that to a 10-year-old. Her throat burned. "I waited," she said. The words came out before she planned them. "I waited for years," she continued. "Not just for you to come back, for you to explain, for you to tell me what I did wrong." His eyes filled immediately. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said, his voice breaking. "I know saying that now feels late." She nodded. "It does." They sat with that. No rushing, no fixing. Just the truth, finally said out loud. Chapter 13, What It Cost Her. "I became very good at staying," she said. "Too good." He listened. "I stayed when I was unhappy, when I was tired, when I was shrinking." She looked down at her hands. "I thought leaving meant hurting someone," she said, "because that's what it felt like to me." He closed his eyes. "I never wanted that for you," he whispered. "I know," she said, and she meant it. For the first time, she realized then that pain could exist without blame. That understanding didn't erase the past, but it changed its shape. Chapter 14, The Hug That Was Different. When they stood to leave, neither of them knew what to do. So she stepped forward. This hug was different, not desperate, not unfinished, not holding on to keep someone from leaving. It was a hug between two adults who had finally met each other where they were. "I'm glad you're here," he said. "So am I," she replied. And for the first time, those words didn't feel like a risk. Chapter 15, After He Left Again. She watched him walk away through the cafe window. This time, the door didn't close behind him with that sharp, final sound she remembered from childhood. It opened. It closed. People went in and out. Life kept moving. And he didn't disappear. That was new. She stayed seated long after he was gone, hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had gone cold. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass, older than the girl on the stairs, but carrying her quietly inside. She realized something then that made her chest ache in a strange, unfamiliar way. This time, when he left, It didn't feel like abandonment. It felt like an ending that had finally been spoken out loud. Chapter 16. The Girl on the Stairs. That night, she dreamed of the house, the old one. She saw herself sitting on the stairs again, knees pulled tight, watching boxes move across the floor. But this time, something was different. The girl looked up, and the woman she had become was standing there too. No words passed between them. None were needed. The woman sat down beside the girl and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "It wasn't your fault," she whispered. The girl didn't nod this time. She leaned in. When she woke up, her pillow was wet, but her chest felt lighter. Chapter 17. What letting go actually means. Letting go didn't come as a single moment. It came in small decisions, in choosing not to apologize first, in leaving rooms where she felt small, in understanding that staying was a choice, not an obligation. She stopped confusing loyalty with self-erasure. She stopped measuring love by how much pain she could endure. And slowly, quietly, the promise she had made at 13 changed shape. She would still stay, but only where she was seen. Chapter 18. A different kind of staying. Months later, she found herself standing in her own doorway, keys in hand, listening to the sounds of her home. Her home, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant city noise, the steady comfort of a space that didn't feel like it might disappear overnight. She thought of her father, not with anger, not with longing, but with a kind of understanding that felt adult and complete. He had left, and she had stayed, not frozen in that moment, but alive beyond it. She stepped inside and closed the door. Gently. Epilogue. What she carries now. She still remembers the day he left. Not as a wound that bleeds anymore, but as a scar. Something that proves healing happened, even if it took longer than it should have. Sometimes she still hears the sound of boxes in her head. Sometimes she still pauses when someone walks toward a door. But now, when that happens, she breathes. She reminds herself of what she knows. She knows that love doesn't disappear just because someone was afraid. She knows that children don't cause adults to leave. She knows that staying, real staying, has to include yourself. The girl on the stairs grew up. She learned how to stand on her own, how to let people come and go without losing herself, how to forgive without reopening the wound. And when she thinks of her father now, she doesn't think of the moment he left. She thinks of the moment she stopped waiting. That's the part of the story that belongs to her. If this story stayed with you, don't rush away. Some stories don't need applause. They need recognition. If you saw a part of yourself in this, the waiting, the quiet strength, the growing up too early, you're not alone. If this story meant something to you, leave a comment. Even a single word helps these kinds of stories find the people who need them most. Like and subscribe if you want more honest human audio stories. Stories about family, loss, healing, and the moments that shape us without warning. And if someone you love might need this story, consider sharing it with them. Thank you for listening, and thank you for staying.